We're going to look at the mitzvah of Kibud Vaem, and in particular try to focus as an introduction on the Shoresh Hamitzva, or the purpose or the source, the reason, the goal of the mitzvah of Kibud Vaem, of respect for fathers and mothers for ourselves. We begin with some background from Sefer Shemot. After Yetziat Mitzrayim, the Jews leave Mitzrayim and come to a place called Mara, and we have a problem that the water is bitter in Mara, and there's no water for the Jewish people to eat. Ultimately, God miraculously enables the water to be sweetened, and this pasuk concludes, Sham samlo choku mishpat v'sham nisahu. There, God placed a law and a rule, and there we were tested. And the specific words choku mishpat, that we were given a law, indicates to the Midrash that we were given certain mitzvot or laws at this time, which was preceding Ma'amad Har Sinai, before receiving the Torah. And one such law that suggested, the Midrash says, Zeh Kibud Vaem Divrei Rabbi Yoshua. According to Rabbi Yoshua, the mitzvah that was given at this time was the mitzvah of Kibud Vaem. And you have to ask yourself why it is that this mitzvah in particular was chosen to be taught before the rest of the Torah, as an introduction perhaps, or a prerequisite for the Torah getting the mitzvah of Kibud Vaem. And Rav Shechter gave a shir about this, where he suggests that Kibud Vaem is really the foundation of our Masorah, of the Torah, because the reason why we are connected to the Torah, and why Ma'amad Har Sinai and the revelation at Sinai is relevant to us, is because of the fact that this tradition has been transmitted throughout the generations, and it's the fact that we revere and respect and trust in our parents generation after generation is the very reason why we believe in the Torah and accept the Torah and have the opportunity to experience the Torah. The Minchas Chinuch poses a very well-known question in respect to Kibud Vaem that is also extremely fundamental and a real critical question in respect to understanding what Kibud Vaem is about. And this is a halachic question, but has very much relevance to the hashkafa of the mitzvah as well. Minchas Chinuch says, mitzvot aseh kechol mitzvah shebat Torah inyan tshuva de tshuva mechaper. That Kibud Vaem is a mitzvah like all other mitzvos, where tshuva provides atonement. If one fails to do Kibud Vaem, one can do tshuva to be absolved of the sin. Nevertheless, Minchas Chinuch has a dilemma. Lefiha mevuar berambam ubeshas. According to the principle that's established in the Rambam and the Gemara, de'avero shebein adam lechavero lo mahani tshuva v'lo yom ha'kippurim ad sheyiratze es chavero. That when it comes to mitzvos, ben adam lechavero, interpersonal mitzvos, if a person violates a mitzvah, fails to do proper respect, or harms another person, so tshuva and Yom Kippurim don't help unless a person gets forgiveness of that other person. In Kam mitzvah zo shel Kibud, if in the case of Kibud Vaem, the Gzeras HaKasuvhu, it's a decree of the Torah, the Nosaf al Kibud Kol Adam, that this mitzvah of Kibud Vaem is imposes an additional responsibility above and beyond that which we have to do for all other people. When it comes to other people, the only sin is to harm. V'kan mitzvah l'chabdo. Here there's a mitzvah to go proactively and to do active acts of kibud, of respect, above and beyond simply not harming. So imlo kibdo efshar di rak mitzvah hamakom baruch hu. So if someone fails to do kibud avaim, the question is, does he have to go to his parents and beg forgiveness, or is it sufficient to daven and do tshuva before God? Perhaps you didn't hurt the parent. A parent needs water, and you say, "I'm not getting you the water. Get it yourself." You didn't harm the parent. You didn't do anything. You didn't steal or harm, whereby then you certainly need to ask for forgiveness. But here you just didn't do that which is above and beyond that which needs to be done for everybody else. So here perhaps it's a ben adam l'makom v'lo ben adam l'chavero. The ben adam l'chavero eno elav mashu shava l'chol adam. The definition suggests in minchas chinuch of ben adam l'chavero is that which is equal for everybody. Avakan hu rak ba'av ve'em. Here it's a special requirement. Imkain eno ela k'mitzvah sheben adam l'makom baruch hu. Therefore, we should consider it to be like a mitzvah ben adam l'makom. Odilma, or perhaps since Torah commanded this mitzvah, the Torah introduces a level of responsibility that's indeed interpersonal, and therefore lo mahanin shuva im lo shiratze es of Vaem, and therefore shuva would not be effective unless he gets the forgiveness of his parents. So this is a fundamental question, which also relates to a well-known question, which is, why is Kibud Avaim in the first half of the Ten Commandments, which seems to be, the first half seems to be Ben Azam L'Makom, whereas the second half is Ben Azam L'Chavero. Kibud Avaim is sort of in the middle, maybe leaning to the first side. So how do we define it? And is it really a responsibility to your parents, or is it a responsibility to God Himself? The Sefer HaChinuch himself, when he discusses the mitzvah of Kibud Avaim, and with every mitzvah, Misharshe Mitzvah Zo, tries to get at the root of this mitzvah. That the mitzvah of Kibud Avaim is that it is befitting that a person should recognize that goodness which was done to him, and to recognize it, to acknowledge it, and to therefore show respect to the one who did kindness to him. And it's disgusting to ignore the kindness that was done for us. This is a despicable quality, to someone does something kind to you and to just spit it back in their face without recognizing and acknowledging the reality of what's been done for us. To realize in our hearts that our parents are the cause for our existence. It is actually our responsibility to do every possible positive thing for them. So obviously our parents have done great things for us to enable us to be born and to grow up in the way that we have grown up, and it's almost unthinkable how much we owe them ben adam l'chavero for what they've done for us. And here the Sefer Chinuch seems to be, I think, pointing towards the perspective of ben adam l'chavero, that even though it's special for only these people, but it's not just a random decree. It's because these people deserve it. Our parents deserve it. Anyone who has done what our parents have done to us, anyone, if you imagine someone who saves your life, of course you have to treat them differently than everybody else. Parents that gave us our whole life and so much more certainly deserve our respect, and we owe it to them. Ben adam l'chavero. The Sefer HaChinuch continues about the purpose of Kibud Avaim and adds a second layer to it. When we can make this quality part of our personalities. It will lead us directly to also recognize the goodness that God has done for us. God is the cause for our existence and all existence since Adam HaRishon. In other words, the existence of humanity to begin with. Our existence, all of our lives, being born and continuing to exist. Our health, and our soul and our mind. He could have made us like a regular animal. V'yarach b'machshavto kama v'kama roi lo lihizahir b'avodaso baruch hu. And that should cause us, to be motivated to realize that we need to serve God and listen to His commandments. In other words, if we can acknowledge where we come from and have the humility to recognize that we did not come before the world came before us, and that there's a cause for our existence, and that cause needs to be recognized or acknowledged, that will lead us to Kibud Vaem. And if we will understand that about Kibud Vaem, we will also understand about God Himself, who's the ultimate cause for all existence. And the respect for our parents leads us to respect for God and to our commitment to do the mitzvos that He has commanded us. The Gemara really demonstrates this comparison that the Sefer HaChinuch picks up on of our parents with God. Tana Rabbanan, we teach in a Braita. Ne'emar kabed et avicha v'yasimecha, v'ne'emar kabed et Hashem me'onecha. The pasuk says in the Torah we should respect our parents, and it says also in Mishlei to respect God with our possessions. Hishveh HaKasuv kibud avaim l'chvod hamakom. The Torah there equates the respect for our parents to the respect for God by using the same language in respect to Kibud Avaim as Kavod Hashem. Ne'emar ish imo v'aviv tiro. It says to fear and to awe our parents. V'ne'emar Hashem as Hashem lokecha tiro v'yosot avod, to be in awe of God. Hishveh HaKasuv moros avaim moros hamakom. The parallel language indicates an equation between the awe of our parents and the awe of God. Ne'emar mekalel aviv v'imo mos yumas. V'ne'emar ish ki kalel al-kavan asach etza'o. That we're commanded not to curse God and not to curse our parents in the same language. Hishveh HaKasuv birchas av va'em l'birchas hamakom. The Torah here equates the issue of cursing our parents to cursing God. In all these instances, our special relationship with God is similar to that with our parents. Aval v'haka v'adai efshar. However, when it comes to not to hit our parents, there is no comparison, because of course it's inconceivable to consider the possibility of hitting God. But overwhelming evidence in the Torah for the equation and the parallel between respect for our parents and respect for God. And we conclude that this is logical. They're all partners in our creation. In other words, the respect for our parents is for the same reason that we have respect for God, because they're the cause for our existence. Tana Rabbanan, the Gemara continues, Shloshat shutfin hein ba'adam. There are three partners in a man. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Aviv v'Imo. God, a mother, and a father. Bizman sha'adam mechabed es Aviv es Imo. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ma'ala ani aleichem kilu darti b'neihem v'chibduni. God says that there are three partners in man. If a person respects his parents, then God considers it as if he respected God Himself, and that God dwelled amongst them. And I think this is not just an extreme language of importance, but what it's saying is if a person respects his parents, by definition, he will have already achieved the quality that will lead him to respect God, and God will live with him. In other words, God will have a relationship with him, because the person will realize the centrality of God in his own life. The Gemara Bava Metzia actually gives a little bit of a contrasting perspective on this equation between our relationship with God and our relationship with our parents. Tana Rabbanan minayin shem amar lo aviv hitame o sha'amar al tachzir shelo yishmalo. How do we know that if a parent tells a child to sin, a Kohen to become tamei, or a person not to do Hashavas Aveda, how do we know that we don't listen? Shenemar ish imo v'aviv tirau ani Hashem. Respect your parents, but keep my Shabbat. Kulchem chayavim b'chvodi, to say that you and your parents, you respect your parents, but you're all commanded to listen to me. And this is the principle that we put our respect for, even though there's this equation, we put God ahead. And the Gemara spells this out. The only reason why we put God first is because of this pasuk which juxtaposes Kibud Avaim with Kavod Hashem, with Shabbos. Otherwise I would have considered the possibility to listen to our parents. Kibud Avaim is a mitzvah aseh, a positive command. Shabbos is a positive and a negative. Lo taseh melacha is negative, don't do melacha. Shamor Shabbos, and protect the Shabbos by not doing work. V'lo asi aseh v'dachi es lo taseh v'aseh. We know that an aseh can never put aside another issue, which is an aseh and a lo taseh. It's trich, no, they're both necessary. It's necessary to teach us. It's not obvious. Sal kadatcha amina hova v'hukash kavod avaim l'kvod hamakom. Shenemar kan kabedet avich v'semecha v'nemar lahalon kabedet Hashem yornecha hilkach tzaisilei. We might think, since we have this equation between our parents and our comparison, that we respect God and we respect our parents for the same reason, I might think that we should listen to our parents even at the expense of keeping the mitzvah of the Torah. Kamash malon. The low lishmalei. So this teaches us that even though they're the same, they're on the same level, and God ultimately is above, and we both have to put God before ourselves and our parents. The Gemara continues and offers another agada, which seems to be unrelated in particular to Kibud Vaem. The Gemara Kiddushin, continuing in the sugya of Kibud Vaem. Amar Yitzchak kol over avera b'seiser ki'ilu dochek raglei shchina. Whoever violates a sin in private, it's as if he pushed away the legs of the shchina. Shenemar kol amar Hashem hashamayim kis'i v'ha'aretz hadom raglai. That the heavens is God's throne and the land, the earth, is where his feet rest. And by not doing the mitzvos, we've pushed away his feet. And by doing it in private, it's like saying that God doesn't see us here. He doesn't see me because we're hiding. We don't recognize that God is here. You see, this is also the same theme as Kibud Vaem, that we don't that the whole purpose of Kibud Vaem is for us to achieve a recognition of the fact that God, that our parents are the cause of our existence and they're here, and God is the cause of our existence and He's here. And to make like He's not here and we can live independent of God is the ultimate insult and the ultimate neglect and of this quality, to think that God can't see us, that we can live independently of Him. Amar Rishon Levi, Asulo Adam Shiahalech Arba Amos becomes Kufa Shinema Malol Kol Haaretz Kivodo. Rabbi Yeshua similarly says that it's forbidden to walk 4 amos with your head held too high, because the world has to be filled with God's kavod. And same thing, that Kibud Vaem is about humility of realizing that God is above us. Rabbi Huna Bered Rabbi Yeshua Lo Miski Arba Amos Berogilo Yarosh. Rabbi Huna thought that you should never go 4 amos without your head covered. He said he never walked 4 amos without his head covered. And he said the reason is Shechina Lamala Miroshi, because the Shechina is above me, and he wore a kippah to recognize or to demonstrate his awareness that God's Shechina always rests above us. This is really the message of Kibud Vaem and the comparison to the Kavod Hashem, to recognize that we don't live in this world independently, but we live as a result of the efforts and the actions of others, both our parents and of God, and therefore we owe them the extra respect above and beyond any stranger, and that is Kibud Vaem and Kavod Hashem.